before I jump into what I'm going to actually read, I just wanted to mention this book. Your Body is Not Your Body. It was put out by Tenebris Press this spring. It is an all trans, gender non-conforming written book. It's new, weird horror. It was in response to the Texas guidance that CPS investigate families who supported their trans youth through medical transition. Originally, all proceeds were going to Equality Texas. Once we raised a lot of money for them, we also were just seeing that there are so many anti-LGBTQ bills popping up around the country, so we've switched to all proceeds are going towards Trevor Project. You can ask the folks over at the counter if you need help with ordering. So I'm gonna wait until I get back here. I'm gonna be reading this is my second story that was published this year in this anthology, Moonflowers and Nightshade. It is a sapphic horror anthology. And in terms of content notices, there's a little bit of violence and gore, and in this section, sex and some internalized homophobia and religious discrimination. So this story, and then I'm going to read a short excerpt of this so that I can also read a cli-fi horror poem for you all. So this story is Beaded is the Water Upon My Wing. My dearest darling, forgive me my massacres. I have not confessed since you left, nor did I believe in it when you first taught me to put palms together. There is but a narrow path to survival for one such as I, and it was all I had known. Until you. I remember the first time I saw you. True, it was your ship I saw first, that fattened beast I sang for until it slew itself against the cliffs. Ships have changed throughout the eons. This one was much more efficient than the earliest rowed boats that stumbled upon our island, and later the great masted ships sailing at the wind's mercy. Yours bore a gray hull of metal, which, while not as helpful as wood, still went into decorating the island. The weather held that day. Unlike some of my sisters, I did not prefer the chaotic retrieval of my meals from a storm. Our song was enough to ensure our needs were met. We sang the ship to the north end of the island, where boulders cut through the water, fang-like and ready to snap. The hull warped and curled. There were 9 of us then. Eternal, we should have been. We alighted on the deck, folding our wings back, then one by one carried the ensorcelled sailors to land, our wings straining against the added weight. I did not see you that day, for you had jumped into the water before we appeared, unaware of what truly felled your steed. The sailor skins, as usual, were tanned for furniture and blankets. A wintry sea grows sharp talons, and our human parts are more delicate in the cold. Bones make useful building materials. I still have my lovely crown of molars, though I wear it rarely. There is no one to dress for. And the meat, of course, we prepared in a buffet of styles. How many weeks did you roam, wasting on the island before I found you? You who clawed your way out of a hungry sea and clung to living, vomiting up salt water when you tried to drink from pools too close to the coast. You who spent your days clenching an angry gut after eating raw fish. Acrid vomit crusted your lips that day. Your skin peeled and blistered everywhere. I know I should have carried you back to my home. There was always room for more meat stores. But witnessing your struggle became a throbbing ache in my chest. I wanted to honor it. So instead, I dabbed your lips with a wet cloth and led you to an inland stream. You rolled over the bank's edge, crashing into the water, letting it devour you. I worried you meant to die, but you broke the surface, water clutching your thin shift to your curves beneath. We sat on the bank, my legs folded beneath me, wings fluffed, your eyes staring blankly into the craggy scenery. When I shared a dried strip of meat with you, you hesitantly took a bite, then messily chewed it, your lips smacking. You called it jerky. You didn't know then what you ate, or for several months afterward as we began dancing around each other on the island. My sisters thought you a pet. They warned me not to name you, but they allowed our time together all the same. Did I tell you yours was the first soft hand that ever reached for me? My kin might ruffle my feathers or help me preen, but weeks into our acquaintance, when you wove your fingers through my wings, your mouth made a ridiculous O as you brushed against the joint between my wing and naked back. How red-faced you always were in the beginning when noticing my bared breasts peeking out from plumage. You, who covered your body with scratched arms and folded your hands primly in your lap. Had you been delirious the whole time? So much so that you never believed my wings more than a well-plumed cape? As we grew familiar, you would absently run your fingers over my feathered parts and be soothed. Even then, you were barely present in reality, and I missed all the signs. But I do not know what I could have done. I had never cared for one such as you before. You gave me many gifts during those months. Regret, the most painful. I did not know regret before you arrived, as it was not a concept I lived near to. In those final weeks, you often spoke of your many regrets, praying them ceaselessly to your God. And I learned in a way to feel your loss. There is one regret that hollows me most. That is not what I wish to remember. Forgive me. But the days are empty of song now. My memories are all I have. You will not read this. How could you? So I ask, was loving me your final act of insanity? When you finally gave in to desire and began to nuzzle your face into my downy breast, inhaled the powdered coating of my calamus, and later lowered your naked body until your scraped knees met stone, your long apricot hair strangled with knots, and you parted the short umber feathers between my thighs with your sunburned fingers and chipped nails, and first lapped your dry tongue along my cleft. Was that your mouthed confession telling your God you accepted the punishment you believed he cast upon you? One night in sobbing agony, you screamed at me, "Demon!" I held you as you wept, your body shaking and writhing. Under a blistering sun, you explained to me how we were in a place named Hell, and how you learned about it in your youth from elders both fearful and angry. And your being here, with the ability to live out your self-proclaimed twisted desires, was proof of judgment for your sins. My love, if that was punishment, let me sin again and again against your mouth. Thank you.